Hey guys, so in this video we will be going through some more advanced 3D commands. Last episode or video we tried these more advanced 2D drawing commands and they were offset, fillet, chamfer, split and trim. If you haven't seen it yet you can go back to the other video. And today we will be working with these commands, but to start working with them, we should get out of the top view by double left clicking here on the top view and going into perspective. So now we can see that these objects are truly in 3D. So we have two sets, and let's work first with these guys. So these are four commands that are very similar to each other. They're all in the Boolean family. What is Boolean? Well, Boolean is a kind of mathematical operation. I think the name comes from some kind of famous mathematician, but I would need to look into it more. But it's a funny name, but we will be using it a lot. So what does Boolean do? It's a way that you can make 3D shapes, solids, or polysurfaces interact with each other. Now we have this pair of two solids. One is a cube and one is a sphere. So right now they are not really doing anything with each other. They're just existing in the same space. If we would like to move them together, for example, I would have to select both of them and then drag them out of the way. If I would select only one, I could not do it. So let's say I wanted to join these together. We have used join before, but join only works with surfaces and curves. You can see if I start my command here, I cannot even select these 3D shapes because it only works with curves and surfaces. How else could we do it then if join doesn't work? Well, we could group them, select both of them, press enter. So now when I select one of them, it actually selects both. But in reality, they are still two separate objects. Group just puts them together in a way that they are stuck, but they are not really one shape. So we can go ahead and ungroup these guys. Now they are again separate. So the way that we truly join 3D objects is using the Boolean function. So the first one that we have is a positive operation, so Boolean union. Let's go ahead and type Boolean union. And the first question that Rhino or command that Rhino asked me to do is select surfaces or polysurfaces to union. So let's click this and this, press enter. And now if you look very closely, this line got a little bit thicker, meaning that when I select here, this shape is now one. How is that different than from anywhere else? Well, let's just explode this. You can see that this interior part here was deleted and all of the interior from the sphere and the cube were mixed. So that is what happened with union. Also, if I select on this shape now, you can see that because of the union, this piece of this face of the cube got cut out or kind of glued together with the sphere, and the interior shape became one thing. So union is very important when you want to make a shape that should be one thing, that is more complex than just a primitive like a cube or a sphere. But the important thing to know is Boolean, all of the Booleans are destructive commands. So basically it means that if you do it once and then you work on something else, you will not be able to ununion. You can ungroup and you can unjoin, but you cannot ununion. So all of the times that you're using Boolean, it's a one and done thing. So you do it once, it's done forever. Unless you can do a Control Z or Command Z to go back, your shapes will be changed forever. What can we do else with Boolean? So let's move these guys down. Here we have Boolean difference. So if Boolean union is the positive command, Boolean difference is the negative command. What does that mean, Joshua? Well, let's try it out. Boolean difference. In Boolean difference, the order, as I wrote here, matters. So the first thing that they asked me to do here is select the surfaces that you want to subtract from. So what do I want to take away from? let's say that now I want the cube to be my main shape. I select it and then I press enter, and now you see the command change. Select surfaces to subtract with. So what I'm taking out with. Let's now select the sphere. Press enter, and now you can see that we made a negative operation on this cube, that we took out everything from the sphere that was touching the cube, and now it's gone. And this is now its own shape. And we could do the same, Boolean difference. Let's select first the sphere, press enter, and then the cube, press enter. And if I now look on the other side, you can see that I took away that piece of the cube from the sphere. So again, these commands, the most important thing that you need to know is that they are destructive. So once you do them, the shape cannot go back unless you do a Control Z. But if you are working on other things, that shape will be altered forever. The next command will be Boolean intersection. So if here we are bringing it together, and here we are taking away one piece from the other, Boolean intersection is actually going to leave you with only the things that are intersecting. Let's just try it out. Boolean intersection. It becomes way more obvious when we try it ourselves. So select the first set of surfaces. Let's choose this one. Then the second one, this one. And now you can see that I'm left with only the things that were touching in between the cube and the sphere. Very interesting. And lastly, we have Boolean split. So we tried split before on its own with 2D shapes and curves. We also have the 3D version with Boolean split. So let's try Boolean split. Let's type it here, split. You select all of the surfaces that you want to split, and you need to also select the cutting surfaces. In this case, I want to have all the shapes that are possible, so I'm going to select both of them as well. And now they're still the same. However, if I start clicking around, you can see that I have all the possible shapes in between. And because they were touching each other in the same way, you can see that I have a duplicate of what's in the middle. And something else that is interesting here, because these two shapes were created in the same exact space in the 3D world, when I click on it, I get the selection menu because it doesn't really know which thing I'm trying to select. I can also, for example, draw a simple line here. And let's say I'm going to click exactly on the line. It doesn't know, Rhino doesn't know, if I'm trying to select the polysurface or the curve. So it basically creates this hover menu to ask me, oh, to be sure, which one are you trying to select? So let's say I want to select the curve. I could delete it. That's what is happening here. There's two exactly the same shapes here. So it's asking me which one of the two do you want to select. Basically, it doesn't matter for me. But that's what the selection menu means, and this is what split does. So it's a combination of difference and intersection. Only thing is, it leaves you with all of the shapes for you to use. So next we have fillet edge and chamfer edge. We tried fillet and chamfer on their own in the last video as well, but these are basically the 3D version of those commands. Let's try out the first one. So fillet edge. With fillet edge, it's very precise the way that you do things. So it is asking me to select edges to fillet. It also has a few options in the command line here. So next radius now is 1 millimeter, which in this case will work. So let's just try it out. I'm going to select this edge, and it works a little bit different from the fillet command on its own, that you can select directly more edges at once to do the filleting of the corners. So I selected this, for example. I'm going to press enter, and then it will give me a kind of a preview of what is going on. So in all of these corners, there will be a 1 millimeter radius fillet happening. It looks good to me, so I can press enter again, and you can see this is the result that I get. So in every edge that I selected, it will create this interesting rounded corner. One problem that can happen with this command is if you go too far with the radius. So this is a 5 by 5 by 5 millimeter cube. Let's say that I'm going to try to do a radius of 3 and I select one edge, it will work fine. However, if I try to select both of these edges, because this length is 5 and this is going to take 3 and 3 from both sides, it will not work. You can see that the lines here are already crossing, so one fillet is going to go inside the other fillet. If I try to make this work, Rhino doesn't know what to do and it fails. So with the fillet edge, you have a physical restraint that you have to use a amount that is smaller than both sides combined. So now I have 2.5. You can see that will be exactly right. So in this case, it will work. But anything over 2.5 won't work. Of course, it depends on the size of your own object. 2.5 is not a hard limit for the whole thing, but you always have to calculate. And chamfer edge is basically the same, but with straight lines. So let's select some options here. You can see it creates this faceted lines, and you can even go again and again. But you see, because I used a dimension that was too big, I got an error. But as long as the 1 millimeter fits, it will be possible to do. And finally, I have two commands to show you how to create holes inside solid objects. So a very simple way is using what we already learned, Boolean difference. Here I have two cubes, one that is smaller going all the way through and one that is bigger. Let's try to do a Boolean difference. Remember, the order matters. So first we select what we are subtracting from, which is the big one. And then we choose what we are subtracting with, the middle one. Press enter. You can see that now I have a hole going through this cube. Another way to do the same result is with wire cut. So here I have the same cube, but instead of having a 3D solid, I have just a curve in the shape of the hole that I want to make. So let's try out this command, wire cut. First, it is asking me to select the cutting curve, press enter, and then the objects. And now, if I move my mouse after the second enter click, you can see that it's asking me how deep do you want to make this cutting. So I can go all the way through, and here I have the selection that I can press enter and remove, or I can do the same, but I can actually stop halfway through. So then I have a hole that goes into the shape, but not all the way through. That's one of the nice things about Wirecut, is that you can really customize what you're doing with this operation. You could also do, for example, on the side, Wirecut. First one, enter, second one, enter. You can also do it that it's not a hole, but it's actually removing a piece from the side. You can even try to do something with a curved shape. So let's do it again, wire cut, select the line, select the shape. Yes, so now I'm removing rounded parts. I have here as well an example of make hole, which is exactly the same as wire cuts, but it's specifically about making holes. There we go. So again, a little bit of a shorter video, but this is the basic of manipulating 3D objects and 3D solids with a bunch of more advanced commands. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.